Yes, back again with another video. I am in a hotel. So, yeah, that's a fun bit of trivia for you. Today we're going to be ranking the Toa Inika. Now, I don't quite know community sentiment on the Inika. It feels like they're both loved and hated. Obviously, they have a few things going for them that are pretty unique. Things that I kind of love. I'll be frank, I love the Toa Inika. For the most part, they're some of my favorite interpretations of these characters. They all just look freaking badass, in my opinion. Let's get into what makes them unique. I'll give them some context before giving you guys my ranking on them. So, 2006 was a pivotal year for Bionicle. I think everyone who's a fan of the series kind of knows that was the year where you kind of have modern Bionicle and old Bionicle. I'd say there's kind of four eras. You kind of got your classic, Bionicle Classic, which is 2001 to 2003. You got the Metro eras, and then you've got Ignition. And while you've technically got post-Ignition Barra Magna stuff, they're still using the same builds as the Ignition series. So, with 2006, Bionicle moved away from play features in their sets in terms of gear-driven play features. The Paraka being the first canister sets to have a gear feature, to have no gear feature at all. Some people may say, "Oh, what about the Visorak?" Well, the Visorak does have a play feature. It has the rubber band pincers, but those aren't gear-driven. A Rotuka spinner is actually gear-driven. The Ripcord is a rack gear, technically. So it seems like a weird technicality, but technically they do have a gear-driven function. So obviously the Paraka were the first sets without any sort of gear-driven play function, which marked a massive departure from Bionicle's Technic roots. Again, I think that's probably a controversial move. But what I thought was great about 2006, now again, not necessarily a fan of that direction. I think a key part of Bionicle is keeping that Technic functions, this, that, and the other. But I love the Paraka and the Inika. But I think what was great about it was LEGO clearly recognized that they were taking something away. Because with the Paraka, technically, they loaded it with other stuff. So you get the glow-in-the-dark teeth, which we hadn't really seen before, and the light-up eyes. And with the Inika, you get the light-up strobe weapons. Pretty deluxe stuff. It feels like because they knew they were taking away gear-driven functions, they were like, okay, they're going to have launchers, glow-in-the-dark, and light-up features. It was like supplementing it. Like, okay, great, no functions, but here are these other features, including launchers on top of that. Because 2005, I guess, established that every single set... actually, the Hewkii technically established every set having a launcher of some sort. But, again, 2006, it was like, okay, we know we're taking something away, let's give them extra stuff. 2007 onwards, they kind of dropped that. You get the occasional glow-in-the-dark set, this and that and the other, but it wasn't like they were like, okay, we need to go above and beyond. Not just launchers, we need to give them new stuff, etc., etc. That kind of... 2006 was almost like we know we're taking something away from you, here you go. It also kind of marked a departure away from, I guess you could say, more abstract builds. That kind of left with 2003, really, but I think 2006 was definitely okay, these are now just cool action figures, buildable action figures versus mechanical kind of builds, which, again, not necessarily a big fan of it, but I like how they did 2006. 2006 was also the last year where we got new builds with each wave. It was like every single canister set would come with a brand new limb. If we discount the Borat car, it was like you'd get a new library of pieces. Post 2006, that sort of stopped. And we started seeing a lot more piece reusage. There's no such thing as a Baraki limb, or we weren't getting new bodies every year. We weren't getting new limbs every year, and this was kind of the death of the clone era. Like, now, mind you, the Paraka, absolutely, they are clone sets. There is variety in the feet, but that's basically it. The Inika I wouldn't class as clone sets. The Inika fit more so, I would say, with the Mada, where they have a core build, but they have things that separate them. If you basically grayscaled out Hewkii and Jaller, they are distinct. Like, they all technically have some variety to them, whether it's a different shoulder, arm, foot, or torso torso combination. So they aren't technically clones. But yeah, all that to say, 2006 was a pivotal year. And then I think 2006 also leaned a lot into the biomechanical aspect of things. Again, we started seeing rubber elements. The Paraka spines are very much okay, this is a biomechanical creature. You know, we've got the organic mixed with the mechanical. And that leads us to the Inika, which also capture a similar vibe. Now, the Inika masks are controversial. A lot of people hate them. And you know what? If we're treating them as this is a traditional Kanohi, yeah, not great. I wouldn't retroactively say every set needs an Inika mask or an Inika style mask. Never would I think that. But as someone who loves Miramax designs, the Inika masks are basically Miramax designs. If they didn't have the white teeth and they had a martyr mouth sort of facade behind them, they're Miramax designs. Watch Mask of Light when Tahu Nuva surfs off the mountain, off the waterfall, lava fall, whatever, and you see the way his head wraps around his head and it's all rubbery. That's Matoro and Inika's mask. The way it wraps around the back of the head, made of rubber. These are damn near movie designs. It's a tragedy that 2006 didn't get a movie because they wouldn't need to do much. The characters all had mouths. They basically just needed fingers and they were basically movie ready. All of that to say, 6 minutes in and I'm still rambling on, to say that the Inika are an interesting bunch with controversial elements that I love. So that's going to preface it, because I think, you know, I would say I was probably more negative than people would assume about the Mari. I'm very favorable of the Inika. And I think that's probably a dichotomy. I think people who don't like the Inika love the Mari. And I think people that love the Mari, there's a good chunk of them that hate the Inika. All that to say, I love the Miramax designs. I love the Inika. And yeah, let's just get into the ranking already. What am I talking about? Okay, so who falls into my bottom place? Well, maybe it's not a surprise to a lot of people. Hahli falls into my least favorite Inika. Now, I will say this about all of these sets. I like all of them as builds. Again, unlike the Mari, there's no drastic differences between them. While they have their variations, they are pretty similar. But I don't dislike Hahli as a set, mind you. Hahli is, similar to the last list, a victim of character representation issues. That is not Hahli. This is Hahli. Hahli, let's go over the positives, I guess. Love the mint green Zamos. Those were cool. Even though technically the Paraka green would match the eyes a little bit more. But love the minty green Zamoth spheres. I love the layering, how they did armor for the Inika in terms of colors. It wasn't just willy-nilly. Like, Harley's weapons and her armor are fully gunmetal. There's no silver in there just for the sake of it. Her weapon is really cool. It's pretty rare in G1 that we got gunmetal weapons. This picture from Lego is posed incorrectly. She's holding it like a sword. This is a harpoon. Really like this design. It is probably my least favorite of the Inika weapons, which I guess contributes to Hahli being at the bottom of the list. Just because it's a little bit more abstract, and harpoons are kind of boring weapons to me. It's just like a water character staple. But again, cool to see one of the only G1 gunmetal weapons here. Like the fact that, again, she doesn't have silver for no reason. It is just isolated to her armor and weapons. She just doesn't rock any of the other stuff. The white and blue is a really striking color scheme. I like it a lot. It's almost like an ice color scheme. I feel like it suits the lightning vibe of Hahli. And the general build is just neat. Getting Visorak's length bones in white was cool. I think it's no surprise to anyone. It's the face. The face is the issue. No matter how you spin it, these the breathing apparatus going around the face under the nose. I mean, I don't know how that passed design without people thinking that looks like a man. I guess it's not that important to them because they don't, the set designers are probably not even thinking about gender when it comes to this stuff, but still. It's not just the mustache. She has a goatee. Even if it wasn't a facial hair thing, she's bald. Like, it's, other BIONICLE characters don't have hair, but she's, like, explicitly bald. This looks like freaking Vin Diesel. You could even go further with that. She's got very, like, strong over eyebrow area. She's got a really thick Giga Chad chin. Like, if this was like a bald, like drill sergeant character, perfect. Like, I like the Elder. It's a cool mask, but it's not just masculine. It is hyper masculine. Big, defined jaw, goatee mustache combination, and bald. This is a dude. This just is it's a bad representation for a female character. Yeah, I just don't vibe with it. For Hahli, it's a terrible fit for her. I like the set, terrible fit for her. I would have probably also opted to give her the Metru length arms. Sorry, not Metru length, Metru's style arms instead of the Vaki, just to keep her more slender as well. Again, I like it on Kongu, for example, and it would have added her. I guess it would have 50-50 the team. Again, the Inika variety comes down to arms, feet, torso, shoulder orientation. Those are the variations. So there's enough to, like, there is technically no two Inika with the same configuration. But yeah, so Hahli, it's the face. I would have gone for the slender arms. She definitely has the right torso, I think. But just can't buy the face as Hahli. It just doesn't work. That's not a hot take, really, I don't think. But again, in a vacuum, I like the set. It's perfectly functional. The colors are great. But yeah, it's just the face. Okay, who goes into my 5th slot? That would be Jaller. Now, I don't actually know if this one is a hot take. I think a lot of people do like Jaller and Inika. Again, it's another one in a vacuum that I quite like. With Jaller, I feel like obviously every set interpretation of him had him as Mada red and yellow, but the movie reserved Mada red for Takua and dark red for Jaller. So in my head, Jaller is, and also they made his yellow gold. And as a Miramax fan, as established at the start, I see Jaller as interchangeably dark red and gold or red and yellow. So to me, actually, this is a faithful Jaller color scheme. Obviously, the mask isn't gold. But this is another thing I'll circle back around for another character. Remember, these guys gave up their masks to Karzani. So when people like do little color swaps of the Inika and they give them the correct mask colors, they didn't have those masks. So just saying. But gold and dark red, it is a Jaller color scheme. And you've got like the trans red here. That's super cool. I've always thought as well, for armor pieces, I like the more subdued colors. Like the trans colors that you used on the Inika Matoro as well are the less neon versions of those colors. G2, for example, spammed the neon orange, and neon orange has always been in Bionicle, and it's a great eye color. But I think when it comes to armor, I prefer the more subdued color. It makes them look less toyish. Again, I also like that it's a base color. With the Mari, because it's solid, it feels not Jallerish in a sense. But here, it feels like a supplement. It's like he's charged, and all the Inika have the electricity, lightning elements to them. So yeah, it works for him. I feel like this is a pretty good Jaller color scheme. Again, back to the green Zamor is pretty cool. The sword design is great. Not my favorite sword from these sets. Again, I like that in 2006 they weren't afraid to use gold and not just spam gold. Again, G2 spammed gold. 2006 used it fittingly. It was like amongst the metallic colors. It wasn't just again thrown around willy-nilly. I think it was weird how in 2009 it felt like they were ashamed to go for gold, even though Jaller had it, Tarek's had it, but they wouldn't give gold to Mada Nui. Weird. But random tangent aside, I like the mask a lot. I like the weird exposed brain thing. Kind of cool. Probably the best utilization of the weird head that they have, which, again, for these masks is great. I would never advocate that being a good Bionicle head. It's just, with the unique element of how these masks work, I can live with it, and I think it works. So why is he so low on the list? Similar to Hahli. I don't think it works as Jaller. The face is too... We were talking Hero Factory. He's got a rookie face. He looks like a fresh-faced guy. And just looks a little too unexperienced to me. And you can be like, well, that's subjective. And I think because the Inika have far more, like, expressive, almost human expressions, it reads a lot more to me. So I don't know if people disagree with this, but of the Inika, I'd say if I could see them with no idea of who their characters were, I would say Jaller is, like, the kid of the group. He just looks fresh-faced and young, and again, cool set in a vacuum. I just think it doesn't work for Jaller. It just feels like Jaller is arguably the most capable member on the team. So for him to look like the fresh-faced rookie, I feel like is an ill fit. Again, as well, giving him the slender arms, and actually he has like the most slender iteration along with... Actually, he's probably more slender than Kongu even, just because he has the kind of the skinnier feet. But I don't know. To me, it's a weird fit for Jaller. I just feel like it's a good set. Maybe not the best representation, in my opinion. Still a great set. Still faithful in a lot of ways. I just think somehow maturing that face, especially because a lot of the Inika look quite grizzled. It's an interesting choice. So yeah, he falls into 5th place. And again, I don't dislike any of these as actual sets. In 4th place, I'm going to put Kongu. Kongu sits here. Again, also really like this set. I feel like I have a lot less to talk about with these guys than I do with the Mari. I had a lot to say, but the Inika, it's mainly like, I like this one. To go with how unique the color schemes the Inika have and how consistent they are, consistently good while being completely different, Kongu goes for a 2-tone color scheme, which not a lot of them do, just a silver and green. It's cool, it sets him apart, it makes him look very... It's like intentional. He just looks like, okay, for this guy we're going 2-tone, and I like the layering of it. They didn't go as marbled as they did with Hahli with it, so it's nice so that you've got variety there. I like how it just kind of creeps in on the chest matches the shoulders, and then it just starts reappearing on the feet. That's pretty cool. I like the bones matching the legs. Again, creates a really clean look. Kongu has the upper arm, shoulder arm iteration on the raised variant that both him and Matoro have, and the skinnier arms. Great, that works for him. Again, unlike the Mari version, it's a Toa Revere, he suits being quite slender. Again, the Toa Revere is supposed to be agile. I think that build really works for him. And yeah, I don't know, it's a great fit for him. With the crossbow, great, that's a fantastic weapon. Bows were woefully underrepresented in G1, even though we got a bunch of them in G2. So cool to see that here. That feels like a very Toa Revere. Even though we didn't really see him, I hear Archer, and if I was thinking of which of the elements should be an Archer, I would probably go Toa Revere. It just feels like Archers in fiction tend to be quite slender builds, quite agile. It just makes sense to me. The mask, I really like the mask. It's very interesting. I think it also works for Kongu. Kongu was portrayed as quite bitter and jealous as an Inika, mainly because basically, great, he gets his powers, but he doesn't get the power of flight. Nuparu gets the power of flight. I find that quite funny and ironic, and I feel like this face suits it. It also adds to this kind of monstrous kind of look to it. To me, this half and half Two-Face sort of thing is interesting because obviously in canon, the reason they have rubber masks is because when the red stars zapped them, they were turned organic. I've always interpreted this mask as like, it didn't take all the way. So these solid parts here are the original mask that have kind of stayed, I guess, inorganic, while the organic sections are sort of bursting through. Again, that's not confirmed in canon at all, but just looking at it, you can kind of see this bit is organic, this bit isn't. This bit is organic, this bit isn't. Again, his teeth technically should be white as the commercial interprets it, but that's fine. I kind of see it almost like his mask is like the mask, as in Stanley Ipkiss, where it's this kind of this woody sort of texture, and you could almost see like the teeth carved in. It has a bit of a tribal mask look to it that's almost, again, the organic stuff is busting out. Really cool, really monstrous mask. You can kind of... People have used it as a base for Karzani's mask, and I want to say there is some sort of inspiration there, because there is a lot of overlap in their looks. But yeah, love this set. It's only in 4th place because the other 3 are just so strong. And that doesn't take away from Kongu. It's a great build, again. The build really works for a Toa Revere, again. Slender, he looks nimble. The face is great. I talked about the Kanohi Zath and about how all of Kongu's masks technically have a mouth. Follows that trend. I feel like it works. yeah, no notes, just a silver and green just together. It's cool. Again, it was just nice how the Inika color layering varied based on character. Like if we jump back to Hahli, you know, she's got the marbling, the white bones, but she's dark blue at the core. Jaller, it's only his armor and weapons that are gold. The rest of him, he's like got his base colors. Kongu, it's just a two-tone color scheme here. So yeah, I like Kongu. What can I say? I love him too. Okay, now 3 is difficult. 3 is really, really difficult. I feel like I'm repeating my Mata list. Now, mind you, again, similar to the Mata, this isn't necessarily factoring in their characters. This is more so representing, like how do these sets represent their character, versus that this is the character, just because again it's a later iteration. This is the third form for most of these characters. 2 and 3 is so difficult. I may even put them together just for argument's sake, because I honestly, it sort of depends on the day. No, I shouldn't be a bitch. Let me just decide. I'm going to put Hewkii and number 3. Now, I spoke at length about Hewkii, how much I despise Hewkii and how I think it looks like shit. But Hewkii Inika, I couldn't really think anything different. I really love this set. It's interesting, and I wonder, I'm going to just float this out there. As a kid, when you saw this in well, I say, assuming everyone was a kid back then. As a kid, when this picture came out and it was in all the magazines, I couldn't quite tell what color this was. To me, this isn't explicitly gunmetal. It almost looks like a dark tan or like some sort of different color. It is definitely, and I wonder if they did this on purpose, because this was the first non-brown stone set, that they made it intentionally like, what is this stony color he is? Like, looking at it, it is like a tan sort of color. Am I tripping? Like, I feel like this isn't just explicitly gunmetal. And, you know, LEGO was not beyond that in G1. When the Toa Metru came out, for example, and they switched to the blue pins for the first time, all the CG pictures of Vakama showed his pins as black. And when they debuted the feet pistons for Brutaka and Axon, they photoshopped them out in most of the CG pictures. It's like when they're, at least back then, when LEGO was embarrassed about doing something, which I don't know why you'd be embarrassed by the foot pistons, those are cool. They weren't beyond hiding those things. So I almost wonder, like, were they trying to obscure the fact that he was like gunmetal? Like, it just looks like a weird tan. Massive weird tangent aside. But anyway, let's look at a clearer picture of him. I love the set. Fantastic. Really cool set. He's got an axe, which again is another very underutilized underutilized weapon in G1. And I love the design. It's very svelte. Love the chain. That's fantastic. This was a great piece, and obviously that got a lot of use into Hero Factory and even into G2. It's a really great piece. Again, having customizable lengths, having the technical elements to it. It also carries on the tradition, because you'll see with Nuparu as well, that the stone and the earth characters are a little bit unique, because the stone and earth characters of the Inika, Hewkii, and Nuparu have a little bit of extra stuff going on, which I always love as a through line, as fans of those elements. Same with the color layering here. So Hewkii is a fully base, almost like underskin of Keat Orange, and then all of his overlayering is gunmetal, but like his top layer when it comes to like armor and stuff, his weapons and his cartridge are silver. Under that layer, you've got the gunmetal layer. Under that layer, you've got the Keat Orange. The color layering is really consistent and really nice all the way throughout. I spoke a little bit about this on the Mari video, that gunmetal was actually kind of a cool choice for a stone replacement. It is a stony color. I really don't like the fact that they basically set up his primary color as gunmetal and then dropped it with Hewkii. It's just one of the many dings against that set, because clearly, if you think of a traditional stone character, you've got your brown and your secondary color of tan. His equivalents are very clearly, if you look at his color scheme, the brown is gunmetal, the tan is the Keat Orange. That's just it. I mean, that's how it's analogous to if you look at the color layering. So very odd that they dropped his quote unquote new brown. Stupid, sorry. Spoke at length about that set already. I don't know why I'm going into it. But yeah, not the color scheme I would choose if I'm thinking, okay, I'm building Hewkii. But in a vacuum, this is really cool. It's like a bold, almost like a construction color scheme, you know, with the bold yellow and then the kind of the gritty metallic colors, which works. These are Taurus stone. And again, it just looks really great. I wonder if LEGO had made this secondary color his burnt orange or tan. Honestly, I said tan in the last video. I honestly think if the Keytoran was burnt orange, it would work really well. He'd almost look like Rusty, and he'd have his classic brown, so that would be cool. Again, cool with the red Zamels, though. Let's be in most of the sets, but Nuparu and Hewkii had, those were mainly orange. I used to hoard the ones that had more red. But actually, when I build Hewkii, I actually give him all the orange ones, and I give Nuparu all the red ones that I have. Mainly because, yeah, while it matches the red of his strobe weapon, obviously the orange Zamels match the rest of his armor. His face is great. Again, absolute chad of a chin. He looks super strong and dignified. Again, it works. I see this as a rugged athlete face. Again, he's just got the Giga Chad chin. Really works for the character to me. Again, it's really Miramax themed. You can see all of these just being in a Miramax design. Again, for me, the Inika sets are just like, what if we made Miramax canister sets? And that's what I'm seeing here. Except their bodies. I guess their bodies are pretty flat. I guess that's a consistent, probably one of my big criticisms throughout the whole wave is that the Inika build is really thin in that plane. Like if you compare the depth of an Inika to a Mada, they are thinner, which is why when the Fantocus created the little backpack thing for Matoran, it was good because it kind of fleshed out their bodies a bit. But anyway, again, going off on a random tangent. Interestingly, again, he has the iteration of the lower shoulders, wider arms, skinny feet, wide body. It's interesting that my favorite of the Inika have this wide body armor piece, because I actually think I prefer the other body armor. I like them both, but I think overall I prefer the skinnier version. But this one is great. Again, he uses the crotch is actually on top of the crotch, so that makes sense. Weirdly, in the instructions, he does have these. Like in this picture, the armor is flipped from the CG images, but in the instructions, it actually has it this way. So that's another variation that Hewkii has. But yeah, I think that's probably about it. Fantastic color layering, bold color choice that really works. If you are going to get rid of brown, they made a very cool decision to give him gunmetal as the replacement for stone. The chain is a fantastic piece. Love the continued tradition that the stone and earth characters have more going on. Just because, again, that's from the Mada and Nuva lineage. Kind of skipped the Hordika because they are pure clones. And even with the Metru, Onawa got nothing, but Wenua had his little extra pieces to make his weapons. So, you know, I guess Onawa broke the tradition. Fuck Onawa. But yeah, Hewkii carries on the tradition of the stone character being more unique. Now, again, on a given day, this is my number 2. This set is really damn cool. And it's so close. Again, ask me tomorrow and my opinion might change, but my number 2 for the purposes of this list is Matoro. What can I say about Matoro? Do I have a picture of him? Where is he? There he is. Matoro is awesome. This, again, different color layering here. So Matoro has a full silver body armor from the front and the back, which is different to, for example, Hahli, where she's blue underneath and has the armor on top. Matoro has a full silver body, and then the silver weapons with a white cartridge, with the underlayer of trans blue, and it's not the lighter trans blue, like almost the candier trans blue. That again, I feel feels a little bit more toyish. This thing just looks damn cold. This set is a freaking aura farming, cool as fuck set. I've said it in the previous review, but it really just feels almost too cool to be Matoro at this stage. But better for a set to be cooler than to be lamer. Just put this thing up on a windowsill when the light goes through this guy. He just looks freaking badass. I can't just gush enough about this set. in fact, it's like his default picture, because the Konohi Aiden can look a bit weird from some angles and look a bit goofy, but you tilt it down like this where the eyes are angled, and it's just stoic as hell. Aura farming, that initial shot in the Inika commercial with the thunder and it just zooms in on his face is just freaking cool. There's a reason he's the poster child for the Inika. It's a badass set. His sword is one of the best weapons in G1. Like, for a basic sword that isn't themed, like a flame sword or something, this sword is just great. I think it is better than Jaller Mari's sword on reflection. I think the pistons and the designs add to like the biomechanical flair, while the Jaller weapon has a few less details. Really clean, but it's really clean and really awesome. Again, his variation is he has the wider body, clawed foot. Oh, that was weird. Clawed foot and the higher shoulder armor. Yeah, just again adding to the variety, because no two Inika are technically the same. I think that's all I gotta say. He just looks cool as hell, and it's the only set we've ever got in Bionicle's entire run that heavily used this color, this level of trans blue. No, I'm lying. Actually, there were a few 2007 sets that did it. Ignore that. But in terms of layering, he just kills it. I don't think I have much to say. Again, Matoro Mari's is just really a Miramax mask again. Look at the dimensions of Tahu Nuva's mask. And the 360 as you can in those movies, and then look at this mask. It's like the shaping at the back is like the damn same. Really like the blue Zamasphere. Zamaspheres here, getting the blue strobe light. I haven't really touched on the strobe light weapon things. It's really cool. And if you've got a screwdriver, you can actually swap these out. So you can, if you want this sword to have a red strobe light, if you want to recreate the, the Darth Vader freaking Rogue One scene, you could. I wonder if anyone's modded them to just have like a solid light. I don't know. But yeah, there's something about just posing this set on a windowsill when you have the light behind it and just tilting that mask down. It is I just can't really say anything beyond. It's just cool. Like, this Toa of Ice is cool. It's just the way it is. And technically Hewkii has more going on, and is also cool in his own right. So again, ask me on a different day, I might put Hewkii at number 2. Whoops. But for the purposes of this list, he gets the number 1 spot. Number 2 spot, sorry. Number 1, obviously, because I've said everyone else, is Nuparu. Do I need to explain myself? I probably do. This probably isn't even the best pose for it. He looks a bit weird, goofy in this pose, but Nuparu Inika is one, if not... It's difficult, because I want to almost say he's my favorite canister set of all time. But there is part of me, the Bionicle purist in me goes, yeah, but he doesn't have gear functions. Which, that's fair. I think a key part of what makes Bionicle is the functions. So, and you know what? Technically, the Zamo launcher is a built function from scratch. It's not geared, but you have built a Technic function. But all that to say, like, Nuparu is one of my favorite sets. The face is just... I've said this in the previous video as well. Like, I'm not on board with portraying Nuparu as a dweeb because he's a smart scientist. Nuparu is a freaking warmonger. He's built weapons of war. He built the boxer in a cave with a box of scraps. And he built the Vaki. This dude is like an evil genius. And I don't know, I feel like part of that comes from this face, but this face is like so goddamn radical. It's friggin' badass. It's a mix of the freaking Dr. Doom, MF Doom mask, and like Gladiator, but with a mohawk. Like, what the fuck? It's just cool as hell. Is it really Bionicle? Maybe not. I don't know. Like, again, the Bionicle purist in me looks at this and goes, is this from the island of Matanui? Does this work for that? I don't know. But as a Miramax fan, this feels like what if Miramax was punk? So I freaking love this face. And then when a lot of my criticism with the Mari were like about, do the sets match the character? For me, this does so much in service of who this represents. Beyond, to the degree that a lot of sets post 2006 just did not. I looked at the Mystica, I looked at the Mari, where it's like, what the hell are they even doing? So with this, again, before this point, shoulder-mounted weapons were not common. I think the only other character that had that was Krekker, and that was like built into his body and whatever. Because now after Nuparu established it, you basically had a character every year having it. You had Maxilos, you had Pohatu, you had Malum. It just was kind of commonplace. But in this set, it was like, what is the creative engineer guy gonna do? Like, he's gonna create this, okay, I don't want to carry this damn thing around. I'm gonna rig it so it's like automated on my shoulders like an AA gun, like War Machine. Boom. Again, this guy builds machines of war. That makes sense to me. It's so informed and so... It works so well for this character that it's such an inspired thing to do. And the reason they did it was in service of giving him claws. Again, what is this character? This is a Toa of Earth. Who is the prime Toa of Earth? It's Onua. What better idea? For no reason, because again, why did Nuparu get a bigger piece budget than the rest of the sets? I don't know. Same with Hewkii. Why did these guys get an extra piece budget? Guess what? It's because we all know from the Mata and from Pohatu and Onua that Toa of Earth and Toa of Stone get special shit. They're just different. They're built different. So what do they do with Nuparu? They gave him claws for no reason. They just said, you know what? Give him 2 extra Toa tools just cause. Love it. Those are really great claw pieces. They're like... not so restrictive in terms of their use like the Onua Claw. This is no shade at the Onua Claw. It's a fantastic versatile piece, but in this scenario, works great, allows him to still wield his weapon. Great piece that got a lot of great uses. Again, really informed by what are we building here? We're building a Toa of Earth. It's informed by that. And also, again, crazy weapons expert guy gets extra weapons. Makes sense to me. Like, and then his weapon as well, it's a drill. Once again, informed by his element. It almost has like a gun look to it. I know a lot of people treat the Inika weapons as guns, like, oh, they're all just generic looking guns. They are a little bit samey, and they're all kind of, because they are built around the strobe weapon, they aren't as varied as some other Toa lines, but, you know, I feel like it works for this character. And then the scope as well, scopes, when it came later, they started becoming a dime a dozen, similar to the shoulder cannon. It's like Nuparu set a lot of standards. But, yeah, you know what, it's just... It feels like something he would have added on. That's not in the story, but, you know, again, it feels like the set design was informed by the character, because of course Nuparu is going to mod his weapon. Why wouldn't he? He's the engineer, he's the tinkerer, he's freaking Iron Man. He's going to upgrade his shit. Again, this is not necessarily quoted in canon. Nuparu sat down and added a scope, but again, it feels like the set was informed by the character, which is something that becomes very apparent later on that they don't really do. But yeah, love that. Everything about that is great. The weapons and stuff. His color scheme is really clean as well. Even though light gray was a very common secondary color in the classic era, as in 2001 to 2003, it became pretty rare later on. So Nuparu having black and light gray is really clean. You basically, in a sense, because it's such a nondescript color, have him basically be full black. Like, he just has such a very clean, black heavy color scheme. Which is cool and unique. Again, I think the closest set that we have that has this sort of vibe is probably Stronius. But still, it's not as clean. Stronius randomly has a grey torso as well. But yeah, he just looks super clean. Again, great to get this grey colour. It keeps him nondescript. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, we should have some orange on him. Again, if we throw back to the point that I said that at the time he became an Inika, he gave his orange Pakari to Kazani. And unlike some of the other Toa, like, okay, Kongu gave away his Miru. He still had teal. Jaller gave away his How. He should still have yellow or gold, right? Nuparu had no other orange on him. So technically, by relinquishing his orange Pakari, he gave up all the orange that he had. Like, at that point, Nuparu had no orange in his color scheme. Would I complain if he had orange? No, I wouldn't, of course. But this is almost my justification as he shouldn't have orange. He didn't have any orange at the time. So, you know, that's a silly little thing. I will say the weirdest thing about this set when it comes to color stuff is, unlike the other Inika, he has a gray weapon, which doesn't match anything on him. It doesn't match his other colors. But again, it's his tool. It's not really affecting his armor. I've always been a bit more forgiving of weapon colors when it comes to color schemes, because they aren't actually part of them. But it's always been interesting to me that, why is his weapon gray? Weird. Don't know. That's probably the biggest oddity. I like, again, he has the hardier, he has the wider torso, the wide arms, and the thick feet. It's like he has a quite hardy look to him as well. But yeah, I love this set. It's such a clean build. It's so informed by the character. Just looks radical. It's just in the same way that Matoro just looks cool, Nuparu just looks badass. And I don't really have anything else to say about him. Yeah, that's my list. That's what I think of the Inika. Again, potentially there are hot takes there. I don't think there is that many hot takes with the Inika. I think people just either love or hate these guys as a whole. I think the differences between them aren't that important to people. It's just like people hate the masks. People don't necessarily like them as the characters, which I disagree with. I think they're pretty good fits. Again, some of the colors, while the colors don't represent the Matoran very well, the color schemes within are really well layered and unique between them. Again, I like the variations between, again, no two Inika have the same feet, body, shoulder, or arm orientation. There's variety. There's an argument between whether you want unique sets or clone sets. I'm anti for the heroes, at least. I don't necessarily mind it for drone villains. Like the Borok are like the goated villains to me, and they are clones. But I like my Toa, like the Inika, or like the Mada, where even if they are of a clone variety, they at least all have variation. I don't know if you guys have ever watched RR Slugger. Honestly, I'm a massive fan of Rock Raiders and a long-time viewer of his channel from like, I think I was subscribed to him around or under 1,000 subs, but he made a video about how the Metru were a step back, and he put like the three of the Metru in grayscale, and you can't tell them apart. If you take away their weapons, their masks, and just make them black and white, you can't tell them apart. Technically, you do that with the Inika, you can tell who is who, because they are all technically have their own little varieties. And also at this point, because people also hate what the Inika ushered in, and that's completely fair, but that isn't the Inika's responsibility. Everything the Inika did was new. What they did later with this design is not great, but it isn't the responsibility of the Inika. That is Lego saying, we've peaked at this is the most posable, standard buildable action figure we've ever done. And I don't think the Inika's articulation was really topped, because a lot of the later variations where they mixed up the armor or gave a Metru head to this build, for example, hindered the articulation. So when it came to just standard posable action figures, Lego actually peaked with the Inika. And then, people like G2 was way more posable. Depends how you build them. A lot of them are hindered by the orientation of their CCBS shells, or they don't have the bones built the same way because they didn't want to recolor a bone, or Kopaka Master's legs are designed like shit, so you can't bend them properly. Posability peaked with the Inika. Just is what it is. Even there are plenty of Inika builds that have less posability, but just the way they were built, because they were intentionally built from the ground up, is the peak of articulation. Regardless, I'm going off on a tangent. Let's wrap it up here. That's my list. If you disagree, please let me know in the comments. People love saying I have bad taste, but shut up. Nah, I'm just kidding. Everyone has different opinions, and I hope that you're respectful of those. Again, I'm going to say it again. I have other long-form videos I want to put out. I've just been traveling again, like even still, and I've still got more traveling for the year, so hopefully I can just keep these coming out on the stupid ranked videos while I'm waiting on finishing up that Onipex. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Give me a list. Tell me why I'm wrong. And yeah, if you'd like to subscribe or share this video, please do. And yeah, that's it from me. Goodbye.